Hey, Rodrigue.
Hey, Fran. Hey, Rodrigue.
Hey Liz, hey Fran.
And hi, everybody. We're so glad to see you for this very important rooted conversation about our 1 billion for peace pledge. Why this tool right now? Well, we believe that we're at a crossroads in human history. It's going to take a lot of people working together in order to get us ready for the changes that are coming as a result of climate change. The Peace Pledge is an intention-setting tool for individuals and for communities to chart a course that we can go collectively on a journey together towards peace. We can't achieve what we need to achieve in terms of societal resiliency by accident. We don't believe it's going to be easy for governments to chart this course for us. We think it's too risky to allow our fate to rest in the hands of one or two inventors who may invent something in the nick of time to save us from climate change. Instead, we think it's going to take a lot of people working together peacefully to build societal and ecological resiliency, to reflect on what a sustainable peace entails. To be lasting, sustainable peace needs to address 5 dimensions, not just the physical, not just the absence of violence against the physical dimension or even the material dimension, but also cultural/religious, ecological and psychological dimensions of well-being, of health for all peoples. What COVID has shown us is that we're all related. What happens to some of us affects all of us. And so we invite you to read the Peace Pledge, to think about this definition of sustainable peace. And what we'd like to do today is to share some of the thoughts that we have about why we are committing to this Peace Pledge and invite you in to also read it and consider signing.
Sure. Thanks so much, Fran. One of the things that's so inspiring about putting my name on this Peace Pledge is that I am making a commitment to choose peace. A lot of our conversations at BioEarth are about how peace is active, it's not passive, which is why we use language like choosing peace, waging peace, and pursuing peace in our Peace Pledge. So when I reflect on choosing peace, which I think of as this kind of initiatory step towards sustainable peace, I really imagine an interior state of peacefulness, of stillness. I find that a lot of our environment and a lot of our sort of modern lifestyles, and especially in places like the United States, are very fast-paced, are very ridden with conflict and quick decision-making and reactionary behavior, and often that comes from an overstimulated or stressed interior landscape. And so when I sit in the idea of choosing peace, I think about what I do in a moment-to-moment basis to choose peace internally, which then allows me to choose peace externally. And when I first began really consciously choosing peace, it was difficult. There were a lot of practices involving mindfulness and meditation, also a lot of exercise and deepening of conversation skills, both with myself and with others. And so it was this constant, diligent practice that I had to really rigorously kind of reflect on in myself. But what I found is, just like with my tennis game and my emerging drum skills, the more that I turned toward peace internally, the more that I chose peaceful language when I spoke to myself, the more that I chose non-judgmental or non-violent language when I reflected on others and on experiences, I found this wellspring of stillness that was more readily available. And from that place of stillness or interior peace, I was then able to make more conscious, more intentional, more purposeful, often more empathetic decisions, and come from a more responsive and compassionate place when I moved into action. So that for me does look like daily practice. It does look like a lot of self-care rituals and things that ground me in a more harmonious understanding of my existence, but also my role within community. And it has been tested. I have been put in situations of conflict, in situations of violence, in situations where I feel separated or isolated, and really deregulated. And what I've found is that by intending peace and therefore choosing to turn toward peace and aligning with peaceful practice, I was then able to be more seamless or more fluid in that pivot toward peaceful action. And I would say that the rewards of that choice toward peace are personal, but they're also collective. I find that the more peacefully I approach myself and the more peacefully I approach my family and community, and again, in an internal way, the more my environment begins to reflect that peaceful quality, and more deeply the stillness that I think allows us to reflect on more healthy, more connected, more compassionate action. So for me, choosing peace is moment to moment. I regularly struggle. It's not something that comes easily, but it is something that grows with practice and that has extensive positive impact on me, on my health, on my well-being, and on my approach to handling climate crisis within and without. Rodrigue, I'm really interested in your reflections on what it means to take that interior choice toward peace, that aligning toward peace, and pivot it toward a more external action space. And in our BioEarth language, we call that waging peace, which is so important to us that it's embedded in our statement of purpose and our mission statement of facing climate crisis by actively waging peace. And so from your perspective, Rodrigue, what does it feel like, look like? How does that work? How does waging peace work in life?
Yeah, thank you, Liz. This was an amazing illustration of your life, connected to peace building, and all the time that we tend to talk about peace building or peace in general. The question that I ask myself, what is peace for me? Could have many different definitions for many people, but for me, I think peace building is like building a house. It has a process from starting with the foundation. In this case, I think for me, the foundation of peace building is just justice and human dignity. Those two things that are very important to the peace building itself. So then the body and then the roof comes, and at the end of everything, the house stands, which is the goal, peace. So, but it takes everyone's contributions. Every step is necessary to get to this body, which is peace. Growing up, I had a friend who always repeated to me, even before I started learning about peace building, he always said, peace is a process. So there's nothing that you can call peace. Like, this is peace. See, you can see peace there. It's a process. So it's a set of things that go together to get to that element that we call, or state that we call peace. So waging peace is not only like helping oneself, but it's also helping others, even if the problem does not seem to affect me personally or directly. I always think that there's always ripple effects, or that some way or somehow or some reason that can affect me or my family or my wife, my children, my community, the state where I live in, the country where I live in, my country of origin, the region, and far beyond the planet. So when we talk about climate change as a peace issue, it is not because it's affecting us now, directly at least, but we know for sure, and it's proven by scientific facts, that it will affect us all in a way that we cannot reverse or change. So I think of peace like that. And I'm like, but what does wage mean? It just means engage in something. So we cannot be watchers for peace or observants. We have to be actors. So everybody has to play a role in waging peace, because it's a thing that needs everybody to be part of the action, to be part of the change, to be part of the style, the community, the life, the world that we want to live in. And as I said before, peace building being a process, there's no way that you can be in the process and observing. And I'm coming from a computer background or network background, every single element plays a role to make the network perfect. So if you remove one element, you can't work. The network has to stop. It's a system that everybody is moving towards one goal. Let me open doors so you can get in. For us to wage peace, we all need to be part of the process. So when you think of a group of a nation, or a nation that is waging peace, you think of them as people that are trying to really work hard to stop destruction, conflict, violence. And in parallel, BioEarth believes that we are an organization that is actively carrying on and becoming involved in activities that promote creation, harmony, and freedom, and for instance, the respect of human dignity and rights. We have to engage in activities that promote these values, not run away from confronting them, but fighting for more harmonious, creative, and inclusive, and free of all sorts of violence and injustice in our communities. And we are a global community. That's why we call ourselves BioEarth. So as a global community, we practice waging peace. And myself, personally, when I was in the Congo, I was a victim of all sorts of injustice and violence. And when I left the Congo, I was practicing waging peace without having the proper word for it. But instead, I could have said I'm going to be engaging negatively in bad activities like many other young people in the Congo who have been victims of violence and decided to start inflicting violence or being part of negative forces or negative groups to just continue the cycle of violence. But I made an active decision, a positive decision of leaving the country to find a safer place to be. And I continue to wage peace from far and support the Congolese youth through Vijana Africa, which is a nonprofit that I founded in 2013. And it's my daily devotion. So we need to find ways to work for a more just and peaceful world by our actions, not watching what is happening in the world, but ourselves being part of the change, being actively engaged in the process.
In our peace pledge, we speak about choosing peace, we speak about actively waging peace, and we speak about pursuing peace. And the reason that that's in there is because it can be a real act of bravery to choose peace in a situation of conflict. It can be a real act of bravery to wage peace, but to sustain it is the even bigger challenge. I think that each of us has moments in our lives where we feel like we are peacemakers and we have summoned up that bravery to do these things. But to be blunt with you, I often think, well, the Dalai Lama does not raise teenagers. What's challenging for me is to continue that journey and to be consistent in that journey. And I'm not always consistent in that. None of us are. So we make mistakes. We sometimes mess up, and then we have to try to be better and to learn from it and to recommit again and again. And so the Pursue Peace is in the Peace Pledge as a reminder that none of us are perfect, that we have to keep seeking and chasing this goal. It is not a one-time thing. It's not even a one big project thing. It's a lifelong journey. So to do it over and over and over and over takes a lot of different techniques and tools. And for me, I need to have a keystone practice every day of walking in nature. I am told that if I don't go for a long walk first thing in the morning, I'm not the greatest person to be around. I accept that. I know this about myself. But you may have a different keystone practice that enables you to keep choosing peace, to keep waging peace, and to keep pursuing peace, to keep doing it and doing it and doing it. And I would urge you to commit to that practice, whatever it is. It could be your religion. It could be saying a prayer in the morning with coffee. It could be coffee. It could be a community of support. And that's really what the pledge is about. In order to make the steps that we need to make to protect large numbers of societies going forward with the changes that are coming as a result of climate change, we need to get lots and lots and lots of people working together. We need to support one another because there's going to be moments of grief, moments of fear, moments of weakness, scarcity of resources, and conflict. And so to commit to a community that is saying, we know we're not perfect. We know this is really hard. We know there's never been a challenge like this in human history. But by working together and at least having the same goal, which is peace, at least acknowledging these 5 dimensions of peace are essential to everyone's health. They're essential to ecological health, personal health, community health. And these 5 dimensions are something that we commit to, means that we are at least going in the same direction. We may differ on how to get there. We will differ on how to get there. And that's going to take a lot of work, a lot of debate and reflection and research, but at least committing that lots of us are on this journey together. We commit to peace. That's what we want, means that we can get there. We can't get there by accident. The ability that humans have now to impact the planet and to impact civilization is so vast that if we don't consciously make this choice and then take steps to pursue it, it won't happen. So we encourage you to think about the things that sustain your journey of peace, to read the Peace Pledge, to consider whether you can make that personal commitment towards peace and join the rest of us that are signing. We want to spread this far and wide. Please share it if your heart moves you to share it. Really reflect on its words to see if you are willing to commit to going in this direction together. It's going to take 1 billion of us going together on this journey to protect ourselves from the threats of climate change that are already happening. You can do something big by reading the Peace Pledge and considering whether you can take that step on this journey with us. And thank you for considering it.